Hello everyone, my name is Uttam Chaudhary and you have started to watch my channel Excel to Excellence. Now in the series of Excel Quick Buys, today we are going to talk about something really powerful. This is called Power Query. Now, this Power Query is something I would say it's a jump that Excel has taken, Microsoft has taken to kind of make things much easier. It is very powerful. It is just, I would say, a step ahead in something very intelligent. Now, the beautiful part of Power Query is that you just don't need to know any formulas. Whatever we did till date in terms of Excel is was all formula driven. But in terms of Power Query, you don't really require any formulas. It is all done just menu driven. This makes life so simple. It makes things so quick, and believe me, once you see it how it happens, you would definitely would not want to go back on formulas. But this is for a little advanced users, so you should have a sense of what formula can do and using Power Query where it can go. So let me tell you really what's the difference between Power Query and the regular formulas. So you don't need to remember. So in case of formulas, you do need to remember, each and every formula. What are the different parameters? You know, you really have to, know it with experience. But with Power Query, you really don't need to remember any formula. These are just menu driven. This just comes so simple. And the best part with Power Query is it does keep the history of your action, which is not the case in regular formulas. So if you have one, two, three, four, five steps you've done, it would actually create the history of all the steps, and it allows you to revert back on each of these actions, which is not the case with formulas. You need to remember a lot of things, and then parameters, what you can really give parameters, there are small places in which you can give parameters in Power Query, which is not as versatile. So Power Query is very highly versatile as compared to regular formulas. Regular formulas, you may not have that versatility. So let's get started. But before we get started, I would definitely show you two examples of. I'll probably show you how to, the comparison between the formulas and the Power Query. But before we get there, please do subscribe my channel Excel to Excellence, and like and subscribe. Click on like and subscribe button, and also click on notification button so that as soon as I upload any new video, you get the updates immediately. So let's get started. Thank you. Okay, so in this particular sheet, if you look, I have two, in this file, I have two sheets. One, I'm going to perform formula to show how this can be done, the same action. So I'm going to take you through all the different text functions. Power Query is very powerful. It just not does the text function. It can, it can do as many things as a particular formula would do. But what I am going to cover in this particular video is mostly the text function. Yeah. So in this particular two sheets, I'm going to do, all of these things using formula. And similarly, I'm going to use Power Query in the second sheet to let you know how really it is different and how really it is useful. Yeah. So let's do one thing. Let's type what action I'm going to do In case of Power Query, uh, and the formula. So here I'm going to type the trim action that I'm going to do. So I'm going to use trim for two purposes. One is, for the first name and the last name. Then I'm going to use concatenation. Then we have upper, lower, and proper. I'll tell you really what does these mean. Before I take you, I'll just format a little bit to give you, makes things easy for you, get a sense of how this would look and make it more relevant really. So let me just make this look more legible to you. And I'm gonna use it and to look exactly like the way it is, yeah. Now, first thing what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep a equal width here, say 10. Okay. Now, if you see here, columns have, these two columns have first name and the last name, and it's all, not a very good data. It's all, having spaces before and after, and if you do it manually, you have to go delete all of them. So, as you might be aware, that trim function, if you use trim, you can actually go and create this all okay with the trim function. Similarly, I'm going to use trim for the last name, and I'm going to use this here to make this all okay. Now, if you see, the space is all gone. This is looking absolutely the way it should be. Now, using concatenate, what should I do? Concatenate, yeah. And then if I can go here, and probably what I can do is, if I have to say use the full name here, and I'll use a space, then I go and use the last name and say okay. Now this is how you can do concatenation. If you see, the name has been updated in the way it should be. Now, using the upper formula, you can actually convert the entire name into uppercase. Yeah, this is so simple, makes life much easier. Similarly, if you want to make make this like a lowercase, everything should be in the lowercase. Say if you want to use this for the email purpose, so you can use this as lowercase, and this is how it would look like. Yeah. Proper case is again just like that, the first letter of the word should be in capital and rest of them should be small. This is what we call as proper. So we say proper and then use the text here. If you see, it converts the first letter and of all the words here, the first name and the last name has been capitalized. So if you see here, it gives you the output the way you see on the screen. So this is making things much easier using the text functions. As you see on the screen, I have used all of these text functions. Let me delete this to get you a sense. So I have used trim in both the cases, concatenation, upper, lower, proper. Now let's understand how the Power Query is gonna make things much simpler for us. In order to run Power Query, we have to understand that Power Query can only be used. So if you go to data, you have to click on from table range. So this is a table. Now here, if you click on from table range, what it is trying to do is it's actually trying to create the table out of this data. The table which I have created, Excel doesn't kind of understand that as a as a proper table. So it particularly gives the name of a particular table and creates more in a table format. So it this is what it is trying to do. So as soon as it creates a table, what it does is it opens a table, a Power Query editor. Now, if you look on the Power Query editor, the beautiful part about it is that it tells you what type of data it has been able to find this. So say for example, you have so many different type, but if you see ABC here, it is just been able to tell that yes, it is able to see this more like a more like a text column. So now what we did is we want to trim this. Okay. So the best part is if you have to trim first name and the last name column, you can just go and select both of them together. Now trimming is mostly like transforming the data. So what you can do is you can go uh, you can go into first and you can go select the last, and if you go here and if you click on trim, yeah, you will see that it just makes things right in place. It updates the column in place. It doesn't you actually can create another table though, but since the data is more in a garbage shape in that particular column, you don't need to really move data anywhere. In case of formula, you have to do it in some other column. But here it is just transforming it in place. Okay. Now, the best part is you want to kind of concatenate this. You want to just say, say first name space last name and want to create a full name here. So what you need to do is in the order you want to keep the first word and the second word while you are trying to make a full name, you have to select the first column and then you select the second column. If your order is not proper, this will create problem. Now here, since this too has to be added into a third column, you don't have an option of you know uh, 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 in the transform, but you can absolutely do it in add column. How do you want to do it? You go in merge column, and the merge column, it is particularly giving an option that how, when you're merging both of these column, what is your separator? And I would say my separator is space in this case, and I would give the name of the new column as full name. And if I say okay, you just see how the magic happens. It just makes it so simple. Now, if you want to say, for example, if you want to now, uh, you know, add a column and say, I want to, uh, you know, make the uppercase of it, all of them to be uppercase. You just see how quickly it happens. Now you say, I want to make lowercase of this. Just see how it happens. It's so quick. And if you say capitalize each word would be just like the way you have it in your, just have the first letter as a proper noun. You just select this and see how it brings up all the data the way you expecting. You don't need to type any formula, just with the click of one button is just creating an order. You can say probably rename this by saying well, this makes sense here. Uppercase name, uppercase full name. You can say lowercase full name. I mean, whatever suits you. And then uh, proper name, proper case name. Now, as soon as you do this, Now what you can do is go to home. You can say close and load. What it would do is basically it would create the new sheet with all the updates that you have done. The best part is that if you have to make any changes, if you double click, it goes back in here. Now in this particular applied step, this is like the it memorizes the step uh, which has which has been performed here. And if you go back, if you want to go back and you've done probably some mistake on some of the steps, you can just go and delete all of those steps and it would keep going back. You can make those corrections very easily. Yeah. So as soon as I go back to this, you see that this has been done. Now, say for example, if you add a new column here, a new row here, say my name, and I give a little bit of space, say Uttam, and then I say again a lot of space, say Chowdhury, and then I would just have to go and refresh here and see how it makes things. It just came down as you expected. All the action has been performed because it knows in the different actions. If you see, all of this has been recorded as a part of the applied steps, and what it does is it applies the steps and it generates in here. So if you go and refresh here, you see that it just came down doing all the steps that I performed for the other rows. Yeah. So I hope this was useful. You are pretty much now able to see the difference between what um, a formula can do. Formula is quite useful. I would not say it's not. But then with Power Query, it is just so quick and so simple. You don't have to really remember any complex parameters in the formula. Things are as expected, and it's beautifully done, much faster. And the best part is that when you have a large data, formula takes a lot of time to calculate. But when it comes to Power Query just applies once and it gets populated in the entire sheet. So your sheet also doesn't become too heavy with the formulas. So if you have, say, a big sheet which is full of formulas, which are full of calculation, say about 200,000 rows in it, you would find it very difficult. You would find it really difficult to open because it would calculate formula. It would take its own time and calculate come back. But when these formulas are applied through Power Query, these steps are applied through Power Query, it just opens like there is no calculation inside, because Power Query just resides at one place. It just get applied on all the data. It doesn't get applied to row by row, but just applied to the entire table at one go. So it is much easier to perform the same to perform function using Power Query. I hope this video was useful to you. Please let me know your comments. Do like and subscribe my channel, and also send your comments so that I can improvise on the videos. And do not forget to click on the notification button, the bell icon, so that as soon as I upload any new video, you get the update as soon as possible. Thank you so much.